There are games that are good. There are games that leave a mark. And then there are those that you finish, put the controller down, and fall into silence. Because you know you've just lived something unique. It doesn't matter the genre, the year, or the style. These games have something in common. They're perfect. Not because they please everyone, but because they do exactly what they set out to do in the right way at the right moment. They are complete, self-contained works that deliver everything they promised, and more. So, get comfortable because it's time to revisit incredible worlds, experience unforgettable stories, and remember why playing alone can also be absolutely unforgettable. I'm Jax, and if you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel. If you could subscribe to help me grow, I'd really appreciate it. From one gamer to another, right from the first minutes of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, you can already tell it's pure adventure. You enter a cave forgotten by time, each step echoing in the silence, with the kind of tension that only appears when you know something big is coming. The atmosphere is full of mystery, discovery, as if the world is keeping secrets just for you. And when everything starts to crumble, it's the whip that saves, with that crack that gives you chills. One moment you're deciphering ancient symbols, the next you're hanging to escape millennia-old traps. The game throws you straight into that type of organized chaos, where everything seems about to go wrong. But you keep moving because it's impossible to stop. There's fighting, there's fleeing, there's that delicious rush through temples, deserts, and ruins. And the best part is feeling like you're in a movie, but this time with a controller in your hand. The atmosphere is pure charm. Historical places, rooms lit by torches, wind blowing through forgotten cracks. Everything is made to pull you in. And when the music rises out of nowhere, it feels like you're about to live an unforgettable scene. Indiana Jones doesn't try to reinvent anything. It just does exactly what you've always wanted to play. And it does it right, with soul, rhythm, and that taste of a modern classic. Now it's time to slow down, but without losing the magic. The second game on the list transforms a simple routine into something that grabs, moves, and surprises. Stardew Valley begins with an escape from the rush to live among crops, tools, and friendships that grow over time. But the game goes way beyond the farm. There's mystery, there's adventure, there are dark caves full of challenges. And each passing day brings that feeling that there's always something new to discover. The routine never gets monotonous because everything feels personal. Planting isn't just about clicking. It's about caring, waiting, hoping for rain. Fishing, mining, cooking, each has its weight and charm. The relationships are so well built that it's a pleasure to talk to every villager like they're real friends. Life in this village pulses with seasons, festivals, tragedies, and memories. Nothing is rushed, yet everything feels urgent in its own way. The visuals are pure coziness, with colors changing with the weather and music playing softly in the background. Each season brings its unique mood, and the landscapes seem lovingly painted. The soundtrack is the perfect companion as you organize the barn or wander into a dangerous mine. Everything feels nostalgic, but with a fresh soul. And when the game ends, you're left with that longing for just one more day. And it's time to let your eyes shine and your heart beat faster. The next game doesn't just take you down dangerous paths. It guides you through a journey where every step hurts and enchants at the same time. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is pure poetry in the form of a platformer, a story told without haste, but with the weight of something that has a lot to say. The adventure unfolds in a world that feels alive, pulsing with every movement of yours. And what starts as a simple step soon becomes a leap into the dark, full of soul. The controller feels like an extension of your body, each slide, each flight, each combat having a rhythm that demands your full attention. There's no room for distraction, and that's what makes everything so immersive. The progression is delightful, with new abilities that fit perfectly into the puzzle of the world. And each challenge overcome comes with that satisfying silence, as if the game itself says, "You made it." There's heart, there's challenge, there's beauty in every fragment. The art direction is extraordinary. Every leaf, every ray of light, every shadow carries emotion. Colors explode or retreat depending on the moment, making everything feel magical without exaggeration. The soundtrack doesn't just follow. It embraces you, grows with you, fades into the right silences. This isn't just another pretty game. It's a love letter to overcoming, to pain, and to hope, all thrown onto your screen with rare sensitivity. Then comes that moment when the silence weighs, and the darkness starts telling stories that no one dares to speak aloud. The next game is like a whisper coming from beneath the earth, an invitation to explore forgotten ruins where every step might be your last. Hollow Knight doesn't hold your hand, but pushes you into a broken world that hides secrets in every crack. The feeling of solitude is strong, but it's also what drives you forward. Everything seems to have been left behind, waiting for someone curious enough to discover what remains. The combat is precise, direct, with that dry impact that makes you feel the weight of every decision. There's no excess, no fluff, just you, your skill, and the reflexes that are tested with every new encounter. The map opens up slowly, like an organic puzzle, where each achievement comes from your courage to persist. There's platforming, there's battling, there's discovery. But what stays with you most is the atmosphere, dense and alive, that never quite lets go of your hand. The art is raw, beautiful, and melancholic. Dark tones contrast with subtle glimmers that guide your gaze. Each region has its identity, its personality, as if it were a character in itself. And the soundtrack seems to breathe with the world, appearing when needed and fading away when silence speaks louder. Nothing is rushed. Everything has its time. And before you know it, you're lost in this deep cavern, wanting to find more. There's something magical about that moment when you look at the horizon and know you can go there. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gives you freedom, but not just any kind. It's freedom accompanied by weight, history, and choices that matter. You're not just walking through green fields or climbing mountains. You're uncovering the pieces of a world in reconstruction. The clouds hide mysteries, the ground bears scars, and the sky holds promises. Every place seems to have something to say, even in silence. The game's physics become part of the strategy. It's not just about what you can do, but how you'll do it. Creating bridges, attaching objects, playing with time and space. Everything becomes a tool. Combat requires thinking, not just brute force. And crossing the land becomes a dance, where planning the path is just as important as executing it. There's no repetition. Each challenge comes with a new way to surprise you. And when you think you've figured it all out, the game changes again. The visuals blend the epic with the simple. Vast fields on one side, floating ruins on the other, all painted with almost artisanal care. The sound envelopes you without invading, accompanying every step, doubt, and triumph. The world seems to breathe with you, reacting to what you do, to what you choose to ignore. Nothing is random. Everything has a reason, even if the game never says it out loud. And that's what makes each journey unique. There are games that don't just challenge you. They make you question everything. Elden Ring throws you into a brutal world, with no hand-holding, no map to follow. Just you and the desire to understand what's happening. Every corner hides something. There's no empty space, just places waiting to be uncovered. The feeling is like being lost in an ancient nightmare, where beauty and danger walk hand in hand. And even when everything seems impossible, something inside you keeps pushing you to continue. Combat is a show in itself, full of weight, precision, and consequences. You get hit, you learn, you go back and try again. Nothing is handed to you, but that makes every victory feel like a real accomplishment. The builds are nearly infinite, and each player carves their own path in the most unlikely way. Exploring isn't just about seeing new places, it's about surviving them. And when you look back and realize how far you've come, it fills you with pride. The landscape is grand, but it's not just about size, it's about presence. Mountains split by lightning, castles broken by time, forests whispering forgotten tales. The soundtrack enters at the right moment, carrying tension or melancholy with equal strength. Everything is so well-knit that it feels like the world is watching you. Every detail matters, and when you least expect it, you realize you're trapped in this cycle of fear and fascination, not wanting to leave. Some games are marked not by what they say, but by what they make you feel. Shadow of the Colossus is one of them. Everything begins in a strange silence, broken only by the sound of hooves and wind. You're in an empty world, but it feels like it screams with every step. There are no scattered enemies, no side missions, just giant colossi, each one a piece of land that gain life. The battle with each creature is a moving puzzle. You don't just rush in, you need to think, climb, resist, insist. The weakness isn't in their strength, but in your patience and creativity. Each fight feels like a tragic dance, where the scenery, sound, and time mix in almost unbearable tension. It's solitary, but never empty. And when a Colossus falls, the weight isn't just physical, it's emotional. The visuals are pure melancholy, with open fields, forgotten structures, and light that seems to remember better times. Nothing is thrown on the screen without purpose. And the music, when it comes, cuts the air with notes that squeeze your chest. You feel there's a reason for all of this, even without fully understanding. It's a game about going far, and wondering if you should have gone at all. Imagine being in the middle of a city where everything screams, blinks, moves, and tries to swallow you. Cyberpunk 2077 is exactly that. A metropolis pulsing with excess, full of broken promises and silicon dreams. Nothing is simple, nothing is calm. You're not just there to complete missions. You're there to survive, to improvise, to decide who to trust when no one's reliable. And the more you walk through those streets, the more you realize the game wants you to feel the weight of every choice. The gameplay is free, but full of traps. Hacking, shooting, negotiating, disappearing. Each playstyle takes you down a different path. And the craziest part is that nothing is predictable. A small detail can change the entire mission's course. The world doesn't stop to wait for you. It keeps going even when you make a mistake. And that creates constant urgency, as if every second could be your last. You can't relax. Tension lives in every neon-lit corner. The visuals are suffocating in the best sense. Everything is saturated, crowded, exaggerated, as if the city has a life of its own. The soundtrack mixes dirty electronic beats with rhythms that seem to come from cracked concrete. Each district has a soul, not just appearance, but smell, sound, rhythm. And even in the midst of so much chaos, there's beauty. A raw, dirty beauty, made of wrong choices and old hopes. It's as if the game says, welcome to the future. Now, try not to get lost. There are games that don't just place you in an era, they make you feel like part of it. Mafia Definitive Edition is that. A dive without return into a 1930s city, with streets soaked in secrets and dialogue full of tension. It's not just about being a mobster, it's about how everything builds up slowly, in the look, the gesture, the betrayal that never comes from where you expect. Each mission is told with precision, like a scene from an old film. And when things get tough, you feel the weight of the wheel, the trigger, the wrong choice. The city is beautiful, but looks dangerous. Every corner hides a story. Every alley seems to conceal someone waiting for the right moment to act. The campaign is tightly woven, direct, without unnecessary fluff. It takes you, but also tests you. The shootouts are intense, the cars have weight, and the rhythm is calculated to make everything feel real. Nothing is gratuitous, not even the silence between chapters. It's as if the game makes you forget you're playing. The visuals deliver everything with style: muddy streets, fog cutting through headlights, tight alleys where tension drips down the walls. The dialogues are sharp, full of pauses that speak louder than words. The soundtrack plays like an era's radio, always in the right tone. Every detail reinforces that feeling of living a story that's not yours, but somehow belongs to you. It's that kind of journey that leaves you questioning, was it worth it? Right from the start, this game drops you into a land where order has been replaced by blind devotion. Far Cry 5 places you in a region overtaken by a fanatical cult, where everything seems too beautiful to be safe. The landscapes are absurdly stunning, with calm lakes and imposing mountains, but just stop and listen to the whispers in the background, and the mood shifts. There's no true peace, only a constant tension disguised as paradise. And all of this keeps you on edge at all times. The action never stops. You can invade outposts, blow up camps, rescue hostages, or drive down dangerous roads. The combat is wild, direct, and the game gives you the freedom to handle everything however you choose. There's frenetic gunfire, strategy, and moments when running is the best option. And every part of the map has its own rhythm, its own boss, its own craziness. Slowly, the whole region begins to reflect your decisions. The environment feels alive, almost as if it reacts to what you do. Local soundtracks, rusty cars, abandoned buildings, everything carries the feeling of a place that once had peace. The colors change with the weather and chaos, and the light effects make even a simple cabin feel like a movie set. There's something about that clear sky, that wind through the trees, that makes it clear something is wrong. And you're right in the middle of it. Everything happens fast, intense, as if each second is in a hurry. Hades throws you into an infinite cycle of escape and challenge, where every attempt to leave the underworld comes loaded with fury, style, and surprises. The feeling of repetition never grows tiresome, because the game changes all the time in dialogue, encounters, weapons, enemies. You die, come back, try again, and each time you learn something new. It's a rhythm that sticks, pulling you into another round without you even realizing it. Combat is pure controlled chaos. You dodge, attack, unleash powers, all in a flow that demands reflex and decision. Every weapon has its personality, every upgrade changes your strategy, and no run is ever like the last. The gods offer help, but always in unpredictable ways. And the best part is feeling like everything has a purpose, even the defeats. Nothing is wasted. Everything contributes to making you stronger, sharper, more prepared. The visuals are like a painting in motion. Layered scenes, vivid colors, and striking lines. The music hits in the background with a mix of rock and mythology, playing each fight as if it were the last. The dialogue is sharp, lively, full of personality. Everything pulses like a stage where the drama never ends. And when the screen fades to black and you're back at the start, the game just gives you a glance and says, "Go again." There's something poetic about crossing a field of red leaves with your sword in hand, knowing that silence can turn into combat at any moment. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't rush you. It lets you feel the weight of the wind, the honor, the doubt. The island seems suspended between beauty and tragedy, with every burned village and every lonely tree telling a part of the story. You walk through the ashes of an invaded home, trying to decide whether tradition or survival matters more. The fight is fluid, violent, and precise. Every strike counts. Every wrong defense could be fatal, and each new stance opens a different path to victory. There's strategy, but there's also instinct. It's sword against sword, in a rhythm that demands full attention. And when the game gives you the chance to be stealthy, everything changes. The mood becomes tenser, denser, more personal. The missions vary, but all carry a sense of pain, a mark of something lost. The island is breathtaking, alive, with landscapes that seem like brushstrokes of an old Japanese painting. The leaves blowing, the sound of bamboo in the wind, the reflections in the water. Everything has a soul. The soundtrack respects the moments of silence as much as the action, making every moment worthwhile. It feels like you're inside an ancient legend, trying to find your own way while everything crumbles around you. Some games don't want you to fight or win, they just want you to listen. What Remains of Edith Finch places you in a house full of memories, with each room holding a piece of a larger story. You don't run, you don't shoot, you don't escape, you walk, observe, feel. The narrative guides you through generations of a family marked by almost surreal tragedies, told in ways that surprise with each new door opened. And the further you go, the more everything feels intimate, almost familiar. The gameplay changes with each memory, as if the game itself wants you to feel what each person lived. One moment, you're reading a teenager's diary. The next, you're inside the mind of someone losing themselves in fantasy. Everything is sensitive, strange, delicate. And even without combat or direct choices, you feel the weight of it all as if it were your own. It's like living small interactive tales, each with its own form, its own tone, its own farewell. The house is a character in itself, full of crooked stairs, forgotten objects, corners sealed by time. The art direction plays with the real and the imaginary, creating moments that feel like a dream but hurt like reality. The sounds of the house, the rustling wind, the subtle soundtrack, everything works together to create a unique atmosphere. And without ever saying everything clearly, the game leaves you thinking long after it ends. Imagine walking through a world trying to rebuild while still carrying the scars of its end. Metro Exodus throws you into a post-apocalyptic Russia, where each station, each frozen forest, each abandoned field has something to say. It's not just about surviving. It's about keeping going when everything seems determined to stop you. The journey moves through tracks and decisions, with silence always there, reminding you that danger has never truly left. It's a world that demands each step. The game blends tense action with cautious exploration. You manage resources, clean weapons, choose the right moment to attack or hide. Ammunition is rare, the air is dirty, and fear lurks behind creaking doors. Combat is brutal, direct, and encounters with human or mutant enemies always carry the tension of a mistake costing dearly. But there are also pauses, moments of calm that remind you of what's still worth protecting. The landscape changes as the journey advances. Radioactive deserts, poisoned swamps, frozen cities. Each new place is a chance to discover more about this broken world, about the people still trying to live in it. The soundtrack knows when to fade, when to play deep, and the environmental sounds make everything feel real. It's a long road, made of losses, small reunions, and choices that leave their marks. Suddenly, you're no longer standing on solid ground. BioShock Infinite begins with the impossible, a city in the sky, floating amidst faith, power, and contradictions. Nothing there is just beautiful. It's tense, it's strange, it's unsettling. The grand architecture, the fake smiles, the exalted speeches, everything seems to hide something wrong behind the light. And soon, you realize you're not there by chance. The action is intense, with frantic gunfights on airborne platforms and powers that flip the game upside down. You use lightning, explosions, traps, all while gliding on suspended rails like you're on an armed roller coaster. The pace never lets up, but it also knows when to pause and let the atmosphere weigh in. Choices matter, even when they seem small. And the story twists, revealing layers that don't always make sense at first. Every corner of the city holds symbols, secrets, sounds that echo something greater. The soundtrack carries tunes that seem out of time, but make sense in the bizarre context of it all. The visuals aren't just stylized. They're provocative, restless, as if the whole world is trying to tell you something you don't understand yet. And over time, the doubt grows what's real, what's memory, what's guilt. Some games don't just build a world, they pull you into it and shut the door behind. Red Dead Redemption 2 starts slow, like a cold morning in the mountains, and unfolds with the calm of knowing it has a lot to show. You feel the weight of wet clothes, the sound of leather, the creak of the saddle, the smell of gunpowder mixed with hay. Nothing is immediate. Everything takes time, has mood, has intention. And it's in that slow pace that the game wins you over. Each mechanic feels designed to make you forget you're holding a controller. The care with the horse, the way you clean your weapons, the way you need to dress to face the cold. It's not about rushing, it's about presence. Combat is intense, but even that has weight, as if every shot comes with an emotional cost. And as you live the routine of an outlaw, you start to realize the biggest fight isn't against enemies, it's against time. The world is painfully beautiful. You ride through golden forests, cross slow rivers under the sunset, hear crickets at night as you set up camp. The music comes in almost imperceptibly, filling spaces words can't reach. The towns are dusty and storied. The NPCs react with unsettling naturalness. Nothing shines too brightly, but everything shines just right. It's like the game isn't just lived, it's remembered. Some games don't wait for you to prepare. They throw you straight into madness. Bloodborne starts with blood, muffled screams, and streets covered in fog and teeth. The world is a living gothic nightmare, full of secrets and horrors lurking in every alley. You don't get clear instructions, just weapons and the certainty that everything there wants to destroy you. It's discomfort from the first moment, but it's also impossible to stop. Combat is wild, fast, demanding. There's no shield to hide behind. It's attack, dodge, push. Every enemy is a real threat. Every victory feels hard-earned, pulled out with nails and courage. And as you progress, the game changes form. The creatures stop being just monsters and start representing something bigger, something sick, hard to understand. The terror doesn't come just from jump scares. It comes from what you start to imagine. The streets are narrow, the buildings crush you, the sky bleeds. Every scene is built with grotesque care, as if the city is rotting under its own sins. Distant sounds, whispers, laments, everything seems to want to drive you mad slowly. The soundtrack leaves you tense even in silence. And when everything around you seems distorted, the game silently asks you, without words, if you're still the same since you began. It's just stepping into that isolated village, and everything starts to weigh on you. Resident Evil 4 Remake places you in a place that seems stuck in time, but alive in a wrong, sick way. The crooked houses, the muddy trails, the eyes that follow you from closed windows. The feeling is of being watched all the time, without quite understanding by whom. And when the first enemy shows up, the tension turns to panic, too fast to think. The gameplay balances tension and action with absurd precision. You feel the weight of the gun in your hand, you calculate each shot before firing, and every hit feels like a hard-earned victory. The enemies don't wait, they surround you, charge, scream. It's suffocating and addicting at the same time. The close-quarter battles force you to act quickly and keep a cool head. And the way the game mixes limited resources with constant pressure keeps everything on edge. The world is dark, dense, meticulously built to make you doubt every step. The fog hides what you'd rather not see. The torchlight flickers as if it fears what it illuminates. The sounds are heavy, and the silence is even worse. The soundtrack enters like a knife, cutting the air when fear has already taken hold. It's not just terror from the scares. It's the atmosphere, the details, everything you can't forget after you're done. This is the epic conclusion to one of the greatest trilogies in video game history. God of War 3 opens with a war between titans and gods that makes any other introduction feel like child's play. You climb a living Colossus while everything around you explodes in chaos, screams, and fury. There's no preparation, no talking, just destruction, revenge, and mythology thrown at your face with force. It's brutal, it's grand, it's the kind of game that doesn't ask for permission to happen, and it forces you to keep up with its insane pace from the first second. The gameplay blends precision with brutality in a unique way. The battles are intense, fast, and every weapon feels like it's tearing pieces of the environment along with the enemies. You switch up your moves, activate abilities, and execute finishers that feel like sacrifices. The puzzles pop up in between as breaths before the next massacre. And even in the calmer moments, the tension remains because you know what's coming. The settings are a spectacle on a mythological scale. Floating palaces, abysses lit by lava, giant halls where every detail reinforces the sense of being in something much bigger than you. The soundtrack is epic without exaggeration, guiding the action like a battle orchestra. The gods are no longer distant figures. They're obstacles, targets, pieces of a world that's crumbling at your feet. And every step you take carries the weight of 1,000 battles already fought. There's something magical about walking through ancient hallways, hearing paintings whisper and staircases changing position without warning. Hogwarts Legacy fulfills that old dream of exploring the school without rush, no limits, with total freedom to get lost in every corner. You're not just watching, you're part of it, choosing your house, learning spells, and creating your own routine. Everything feels alive, curious, full of little mysteries waiting for attention. And it's impossible not to look at it all with the eyes of discovery. The gameplay gives you control over everything, from duels with exploding spells to potions carefully brewed in the back of the room. Flying over the fields on a hippogriff or broom is so fluid it makes you smile. Combat has rhythm, has challenge, and every spell learned changes the way you view the world. There are classes, intrigue, choices that shape your path. It's an open universe, but also deeply personal. The school is an enchanted labyrinth with a life of its own, but the world outside is just as fascinating. Dark forests, cozy villages, creatures that demand respect. The soundtrack flows like an old memory, while the visuals make everything feel like a book being slowly flipped through. Every texture, every sound, every moment reinforces that feeling. You're really where you've always wanted to be. And there's still so much to learn. This game doesn't give you time to think, only to react. Doom Eternal starts with metal screaming in the background and demons appearing from all sides, as if hell was in a hurry. You don't walk. You run, jump, shoot, and tear everything apart, all to a rhythm that makes your heart beat along with the soundtrack. The story exists, but what drives you is pure rage transformed into action. And the game doesn't ask you to understand, only to destroy everything in your path. The gameplay is an organized chaos, where quickly switching weapons is a matter of survival. You combine gunshots, chainsaws, grenades, and executions with an aggressive, precise choreography. The graphics are a grotesque festival of blood, fire, and infernal architecture that impresses without trying to be beautiful. Each stage is a design spectacle, stylized destruction, absurd platforms, and creatures designed to take your breath away. The sound is just as important as the weapon. The distorted bass, the roars, the impacts. Everything creates a constant tension that only releases when the last enemy falls. And even then, you know you're going to start all over again. If you can, please subscribe to the channel to help me grow and never be unsure of what to play again. I've left 2 videos in the card, one I selected for you and another that YouTube chose. Just click on either one to watch. A big hug, enjoy your game, and see you tomorrow.